Mr. Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Yeah, how are you?
Good. It's been a couple years. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. Got a lot to be excited about. Got a new record out on the road, getting ready to, set up the tour for next year as well. So we got a lot going on.
You are a busy cat, and I'm going to let it be dealer's choice. What do you want to talk about first? Because you do have the Jimi Hendrix stuff going on. You got the new album. Where do you want to begin?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, obviously, I'm excited about the new record. We can talk about that for a little bit. We just dropped Dirt on My Diamonds, volume number 2, September 20th, so it's only been out a couple weeks. And that was following the release of volume number 1, which came out back in November. It's the first time we've ever put out 2 records in less than a year apart from each other. And they're like companion pieces, and kind of part of the same package, but released separately. And it's been great. This year we were out on the road featuring songs from volume number 1. And now that the volume 2 is out, it sets us up very nicely for the new year and to be out on the road next year featuring songs from volume number 2, along with songs from our catalog that spans over 30 years worth of music.
Hey, Kenny, did you know there was going to be a volume 2? Like, was that always the plan, or was it, man, we've got so much great stuff, we should put out another album?
Well, I knew that I had 2 albums, right? Like,
okay.
I knew that I had recorded 2 different records, but the idea, the question was, do I release them separately, like we normally do, and space them about a year and a half apart, or do we try and do something different that maybe is a little outside the norm? And so I thought, when was the last time you heard about a double album? But maybe we don't do it like a double album, because I don't want to put both records out at the same time, because then it's like some of the music gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And so if we stagger the release and do them as companion pieces and do it a volume 1 and volume 2 with separate release dates, then the songs stand a better chance of actually all of them being heard.
Kenny Wayne Shepherd on the line with me talking about the new album, Dirt on My Diamonds, Volume 2. It is out now. We'll have links on the website. Did you, when you were picking out the songs and, doing all this music, did you have a lot of this done at the beginning and had to kind of pick and choose where it was going to go on the album, or how did that work?
Well, yeah, I mean, we wrote most of these songs at the same time, so I knew I had a bunch of songs, and then we recorded them kind of all around the same time. But then it just becomes like you're in the studio and you're recording this stuff, and you start picking songs that are really kind of getting your attention, and you go, I really like that one, and then I really like this one. And after you have about 3 or 4, the album really starts to take on a direction. And then you figure out, well, what songs help complete that album, in that direction. And then I started looking at the other songs, and I was like, oh, wow, well, we have 2 really complete albums that make their own statements here, but they're also linked together because of the time in which they were written and the time that they were recorded. So why not make them companion pieces and kind of put them out around the same time?
I got to ask, and never made it to Memphis, who's the girl in the background singing?
That is one of Vince Gill's daughters.
Really?
She did such an incredible job on that. What a great voice, right?
Well, yeah. What was great about it is it fit you and it fit the song. I think when you have like a background vocal sometimes, it'll kind of stick out as they're trying to be the show and not be a part of the song. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, the goal is whenever you add something after the fact to a recording, the only time it's worth putting it on there is if it helps elevate the song and bring something new and make it a better song. And she absolutely took the song to the next level with her performance.
That's great. What's her name?
To be honest with you, he has 2 daughters, and I always get their names mixed up. So, what, Kareen? Oh, Kareen Gill. Sorry. So yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, even him, like when I did a show with him, and I was like, "Hey, man, your daughter sang on my record." He goes, "Yeah, which one?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh,
he doesn't even know."
Yeah,
that's awesome. Kenny Wayne Shepherd on the line with me right now. What other compliment for it? I love the horn section in it. I'm a firm believer in a good horn section will make any song better. Fantastic job from those guys. I really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah, the horns have been a cool element. We added horns to the record. It's almost the whole album back in 2018 when we put out the Traveler album.
Yeah,
I've done horns on like 1 or 2 songs here and there over the years, but that was the first time we really put them on almost the whole record. And so I've been, kind of experimenting with that since then. and it adds a new, a different layer and a new depth to the music, and it's cool for the fans. Like the fans that have been seeing us over and over again for the past 30 years, it's now added a new element to the live performance and to the music.
Good horn section and a good organ player can make a song completely different.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Kenny Wayne Shepherd on the line with me. The other big news going on, you were part of the Experience Hendrix Tour. A lot of big names on this, and this is kind of making its way across the world right now, the country and all that. How did you get involved in this?
Well, this thing started like more than 20 years ago.
Okay.
And it evolved into this big tour, and we were doing it kind of like a biannual event. And then COVID happened, so the thing's been on a break now for like 5 years.
Oh, wow.
We haven't done the tour for 5 years, and we just got it back out on the road, and we're all excited to be back out here doing this again. And I think they're talking about doing another run of the tour in March of next year. So, it's cool, man. I mean, we got legendary musicians, great guitar players, cool up-and-coming artists as well, as the established artists that are on the tour. I mean, we got Zakk Wylde from Black Label Society and Ozzy Osbourne. We have Eric Johnson, guitar phenom. We have Dweezil Zappa, the son of Frank Zappa, incredible guitar player. Chris Layton from Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble. Then we have, up-and-comers like Samantha Fish. And then we have Chris Stone, Kingfish Ingram, and Ali Venable. And then the living legend Taj Mahal was on the first half of the tour. So just an incredible lineup of musicians paying tribute to the greatest of all time.
How is it different than, like a tour, like if you're getting ready to go do the new album tour here next year, how is it different than going out on that?
Well, it's very different because there's so many artists, and it's kind of like this never-ending revolving door. Once the show starts, it's one artist after another, after another, after another, coming and going from, on the stage and off the stage, and obviously we're playing Jimi Hendrix's music rather than my music, but so it's cool. I mean, it's a big hang backstage. You have all these great musicians kind of kicking it around and hanging out, and then everybody gets up there and plays, and there's no competition. For me, it was like it's a different experience because when it's my tour, I'm playing entire 2-hour long concert up there the whole time. In this one, I'm playing 4 or 5 songs, and everybody else gets to have their moment as well.
During this tour, what was the moment or the person that kind of blew you away with their, take on Hendrix?
Well, I mean, everybody.
Other than Kenny Wayne Shepherd, I know.
Yeah, right now. I have to say I really enjoyed hanging out with and watching Taj Mahal this year. And it's not his first time on the tour, but just, I don't know, something connected different for me with him this year, and so definitely enjoyed watching him. I mean, he is literally a living legend.
Is it a matter of becoming a fan for a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a big part of it for sure. Still being able to appreciate other performers and their talents without a doubt,
Kenny Wayne Shepherd joining me to talk about his new album, Dirt on My Diamonds Volume 2, and his time on the Experience Hendrix Tour going on now. When does that wrap up, and what's kind of next? When does the next tour get going for you?
Yeah, so the Hendrix Tour, I think the last show is on the 19th of October.
Okay.
Then I have a few days off, and then I go do the legendary Rhythm and Blues Cruise in the Caribbean. And then we're
Tough
done
gig.
for the year, so I'll probably go back in the studio and start working on another record before the end of this year. And then the tour, I think, will get going, sometime in January of next year, and start playing songs in support of Dirt on My Diamonds Volume Number 2.
Go back for a second. So we're already going to start doing a new album?
Oh man, I have 3 records already in the pipeline.
Really?
But I'm feeling very productive and creative right now, so I want to keep the ball rolling.
Okay, so you have 3 out there. Are they all like studio? Is it live stuff? Is it different? What's kind of the preview for folks?
No, it's all studio stuff. So the one that'll probably come out first is a completely traditional blues album that I did with an artist by the name of Bobby Rush, who's
cool.
Another living legend in his own right. And so that'll come out sometime next year, and then at the end of next year, we're going to put up so we're coming up on the 30th anniversary of my first album, my debut album, Ledbetter Heights.
Yeah.
So we went in the studio and recorded a new version of the Ledbetter Heights record to release around the 30th anniversary. So, and then we'll probably start a tour where we go out and play that album from start to finish live in concert for the first time. Then we have this rock and roll cover album that we're working on as well.
Oh, that's very cool. How was it different going back 30 years later redoing the album? Was there anything that stuck out to you? It's like, wow, we did this back then, or wow, this was so cool, I forgot it. What was kind of the feeling?
So we just did one for the Trouble Is record for the 25th anniversary of that album. And what we did for that one is we really tried to recreate the original album because we had basically all the same musicians in the studio. So I was like, wow, check this out. We're going to like really, we're going to do the same thing like 25 years later. But for the first album, like we don't have the same musicians. Like we have a different singer. We have a different, I guess the only people that played on the original first album and have played on the new version is me and Chris Layton on drums. Chris was with Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble. So everybody else is different, from the bass player, keyboard player, so forth and so on. So I decided, well, this is an opportunity. We can actually kind of reimagine the sound of the first album, if you will. So we did some songs, we did really different takes of how those original songs sound. And so it'll be a new experience for sure.
Oh, that's very cool. Kenny Wayne Shepherd on the line with me. We'll have all the details at the bottom of the page. You're a busy cat. I'll let you get back to it. Kenny, thank you so much for the time. It's always good talking to you, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.